Good morning. It's 6 a.m. roughly on a Saturday here in Osaka. So I just finished my morning walk, roughly an hour. I've got a slate blue tracksuit on, and I think it's pretty cool. Some people would disagree, but I'm thinking about getting a white one. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about the possibility of a white tracksuit, especially with my birthday coming up in a few months. I feel like that should be what I rock. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about that. So one of the things I do, first things I do on the weekend is laundry. So want to get it out the way. Just start getting everything sorted. That way the washing machine is going while I'm getting breakfast ready. And it takes about 30 minutes for the wash cycle to complete for a normal load. And that's that. Okay. Okay. So now that the laundry started, I can focus on breakfast, and breakfast is a very important time of the day for me. Now I'm distracted by what's behind me here. This vent cover needs to be changed, so I will be working on that because that is not looking very good. I have that vent cover on because the cover accumulates a lot of grease and it's a pain to clean, but just glad that I saw that because I need to deal with it. But anyway, so breakfast is a very important time of day to me. It's non-negotiable. If you're not a breakfast person, just don't even bother. I'm just not gonna come off of that. Breakfast is my deal. Unfortunately, the issue is that I have no more coffee, so I have to make coffee. And since this is the weekend, I actually have to prepare my Sunday morning staple, which are pancakes. Actually, I call them Mancakes just because they're just so fantastic, and I make the best pancakes in the world. I'm not going to argue over that either. So we're going to get into me preparing my Mancakes. So I start on Saturday because I like to give the oats and the milk a chance to really sort of absorb and then create a nice texture, which is great for pancakes. I don't use wheat pancakes or any box type of pancakes. This is my version of scratch pancakes, so I'll get into how I make that. Here's my coffee grinder. It should be in the kitchen, but I have no space for it. So I pick it up and bring it into the kitchen. So I'm gonna plug in the grinder. So this is my second electrical outlet in this kitchen, and the reason I'm making mention of it is because in the previous video of my apartment tour, there were a lot of suggestions for small appliances, and that's just not possible in this kitchen because one, space is limited, and number two, there really are limited electrical accommodations for another appliance. So I'm gonna plug this in here, and then once I'm done with it, I will put the coffee grinder away. As you can see, the coffee grinder has a short cable, so even this isn't an ideal situation to be using small appliances, considering that the outlet is really not in an ideal position. So I even had to move my table over to be able to use this coffee grinder here. So not ideal. So it's my coffee scale, or my food scale, I should say. And then I've got my mug that I use for this, which is my Immersion brewer. I got the idea for the Immersion brew method from James Hoffman, and if you're into coffee, check out his YouTube. There's all sorts of topics about coffee. I've been making iced coffee for years and having it with my breakfast, and I've been struggling to get the right flavor. I think I've become a little bit of a coffee snob, and because of James, I've found a brew method for iced coffee that works really well. So Immersion brew is the way to go if you're into coffee. And I've got my coffee filters. One area where I diverge from James's recommendations is actually putting the coffee in the filter first. He recommends adding the water first and then putting the coffee in, but I found that it's just too messy to do it that way. And the reason is that there isn't so much an issue with his recommendation as it is this coffee grinder catcher here. It's just really messy in terms of what to do with it after the coffee has been ground. So as you can see, even after I've ground the coffee, there's still a lot of residue. And so adding the coffee after the water makes it even more messy. Okay, so while the coffee is immersing itself, I can get back to the laundry. The washing machine has just finished. This is what my setup looks like here. And I'm going to tap this button and let it go. And isn't that wonderful? Okay, so per James Hoffman's recommendation, stir up the coffee just to break down or melt down any ice that's in here. This has already melted down, so there's not much I need to do. So I'm putting the coffee in this carafe here because the one that I use to make the coffee doesn't fit in my refrigerator. So in case you're wondering what type of coffee I use Muji Original Blend Dark Coffee. It's very good. It's a very deep, rich taste. It's not bitter for iced coffee, so it's quite suitable. It's reasonably priced at roughly $5 US or 750 yen. So I like this coffee a lot. I also used or started recently using the Muji Mild Blend coffee, which is quite nice as well. It's much lighter taste, and if I make the right adjustments in terms of how much ice I put, it's quite a pleasant taste. So this one is definitely my go-to though, after a lot of sort of trial in getting the taste just right. Breakfast this morning is rye bread with raisin and walnut. Now, I gave up eating bread for several years, but then stumbled upon this mainly because I was looking for a healthy snack to eat after dinner, and this is one of the healthiest breads that I could find, and started eating this. And then I adapted it to my breakfast, and I really enjoy it. I like the texture of the bread. I'm also going to have a boiled egg and an organic banana as well, and that will be my breakfast. All right, so it's a nice day for laundry. I'm going to get this done as quickly as I can so I can get on with the rest of my morning. I want to get out and go to my co-working space today. All right, here we are. Okay. As I showed you in my apartment tour video, this is quite common for Japanese to hang their laundry outside, and there's mine here. So what is it all about? So Sundays, when I was growing up, was really meant for relaxing and cleaning. My mom would make dinner early, and that I've sort of carried forward that tradition, if you will. Not that it was a hard sort of habit that we had in my family or my household, just something that my mom did, and it seems more and more that I'm taking on many of my mom's attributes. So she clearly knew what she was doing when she was raising me up until the point where she departed, and so I'm glad. I didn't think about it. Maybe I was just, lazy or spoiled kid, and now I see that there was genius in her method, and I am very thankful for it. I enjoy Sunday mornings very much. And as I mentioned, I make the pancakes as a habit on weekends because my mom would make things as a habit on weekends. So biscuits and applesauce, for example, or scrambled eggs with cheese and bacon. And I gave up bacon a couple of years ago. So my default is pancakes in various flavors. And yeah, I enjoy it. I look forward to every Sunday when I wake up and can have a pancake breakfast. Beyond those things, one of my most vivid memories growing up was on Sunday mornings, my mom would play WHUR, which is a radio station local to the Washington, D.C. area, Howard University Radio. And the morning from roughly 6 to, I want to say, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. would be all gospel. And there was one particular show called Gospel Spirit, hosted by Patrick Ellis. And I believe that show came on, I want to say at 10 a.m., so right around breakfast time. And faithfully, my mom played that show every Sunday from start to finish. And we didn't go to church that frequently when I was growing up, but that was definitely our church. And his voice just, he didn't preach or anything like that, but he always talked about the events of the week and talked about various trips and excursions that were being organized that people could register for, or he would even broadcast acknowledgments of various churches, church members, even family members. So if there's a milestone like someone reaching 80 years of age, 90 years of age, or if there was a newborn or something like that, he would always talk about that. And that show really stuck with me. And when I wake up on Sunday mornings now, that's really sort of what I sort of reflect. Just a very peaceful, easy Sunday morning, taking care of various things around the house. And yeah, just not so much being religious, but just that spirit, that energy, that chance to reconnect with your spirituality or just enjoy family time. Those were the things that really left an impression on me. And one day I contacted the show, and I believe it was to give an acknowledgement to my mother for, I believe it was her birthday. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was lucky enough to speak with Mr. Ellis, and it was amazing. Like I don't know how to put it into words. To hear that voice for so many years, I was probably in my late 20s when I was living in Atlanta, and given that I was listening to him since I was maybe 12 years old, 15, 16 years of listening to Mr. Ellis and finally being able to speak with him, it was surreal. And I told him about my mom and just asked him to give her an acknowledgement. And he was very cool. And I told Mr. Ellis about how we had been listening to him for so many years, and what a honor it was to be able to speak with him, actually speak with him. And he just, his very cool demeanor, that very sort of gentle but present voice just really left the biggest impression on me. And once I got off the phone with him, I told my mom, "Hey mom, listen to the radio, because Mr. Ellis, he's going to give you an acknowledgement." And my mom didn't even care about the acknowledgement. She was more struck by the fact that I got a chance to speak with him, that I even called him. And that's always one of the greatest memories for me as it relates to being able to appreciate some of the things that my mom really created as traditions, as regular habits that at that time I had no clue about, but many years later, how impactful that would be. And even after her departure, how that still carries forward. And so that's why I'm doing this video, uh, to honor my mother, but just to talk about why Sundays are so significant to me, and even the pancakes are significant to me. So, one of the important details that I can't leave out is Black culture and family and church and those sorts of things. And again, we didn't grow up as a deeply religious family, but one of the things I can appreciate during my upbringing was I grew up outside of Baltimore, Maryland, and then in my adulthood spent some time living in the Washington, D.C. area. And I will not call it the Department of Motor Vehicles the way that many people who live in that area do. It's the most ridiculous thing to me. And you can say what you want. It is not the Department of Motor Vehicles. It's the Washington, D.C. area. Okay, so let's stop this. But anyway, one of the things I can really appreciate about that area is, one, my family has roots not far away, very rural area. And so we're not far from our roots, but there's a real, a very strong culture there for Black people, a lot of history, a lot of heritage there. And I obviously don't have that here in Japan. Now, obviously, that is present in many parts of the US, the Deep South, for example. And I don't have that here in Japan. So it is important for me to have that connection. So I do tune into WHUR on Sunday nights, because it's 13, 14 hours ahead of the East Coast. And again, really the consistency of my habits on Sundays, on weekends, really is a, what's the word, a tribute to all those things I grew up with, and even my family, who I don't get to speak to very often, and definitely don't get to see very often. It is really my way of sort of having that connection without being able to be there, or the times when I don't get to speak with them, and sometimes I don't speak to people for several months, maybe years even. I do send letters occasionally, so I think for me personally, it's very important to have that connection, and it makes me feel grounded. So that's another reason why Sunday mornings are so personal, deeply personal to me, and why I'm so deliberate in my Sunday morning routines. Get it wide 87. Okay, so I'm going to make my Mancakes now, and my plan was to share my recipe and the actual preparation process. But after what I just shared with you, this video is becoming a bit emotional, which I was not anticipating. And I was also planning to do a much bigger production just to show you a day in my Osaka life, a weekend day in my Osaka life. But obviously, I think I've said enough in this video here, and I will show you a weekend day in my Osaka life in the next video. So unfortunately, you won't get to see the mancake recipe because it is top secret. As I mentioned earlier, I do make the best pancakes in the world. And as much as I love you guys and appreciate your support, I'm just not giving up my mancake recipe. I can tell you that it contains oats and it's very healthy. It is such a joy to eat. That's as far as it goes. So thanks for watching this video. Be sure to leave any comments or questions in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and definitely be sure to hit the like button. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video soon with a weekend day in my Osaka life where I'll take you out and you can see the various things that I like to do and the various things that are happening around the city of Osaka, Japan. Thanks for watching. See you.